At Man City Fan TV, we're really pleased to promote this wonderful sketchwork artwork by a lady called Leslie Ross. You can follow Leslie on Twitter at 111Leslie111 and also follow her on Facebook and Twitter at 9320art.
Hi guys, it's Ray here from Man City Fan TV. Well, a couple of days before the Watford game, and this is our video preview of that game with the big Watford fan, Graham Clews. Now, once again, we're chatting with Graham. If you remember earlier in the season, he previewed the game at Vicarage Road. And Graham is a journalist. He's a radio and TV presenter and broadcaster. And as I said, he's a big Watford fan.
Okay, so the first question was, Watford are currently 8th in the Premier League, and you think that's a very good season. Is it above expectations for a Watford fan? Well, absolutely, totally is. We started the season as we've started every Premier League season. Get 40 points, get yourself safe for next season, and that's all we wanted. And we expected 40 points to perhaps come along in the last few matches of the season, and we're lucky enough. Well, not lucky enough. I mean, we've deserved it, I think, to be over the 40-point mark already, and it's only just turned into March. So yeah, it's way beyond expectation. Like I say, at the beginning of the season, it was all about surviving and being in the Premier League again next season. But now we're genuinely thinking about trying to get into Europe and trying to find a route into Europe, either through the league or the FA Cup as well. So it's way above expectations, and naturally we're all delighted.
Okay, Graham's first question to me. Most people believe Liverpool are running out of steam, but City are steady. Would you agree? Well, I mean, yeah. I mean, if you look at the statistics, the numbers, in the first 20 league games of the season, I believe Liverpool only lost 6 points. So they dropped 6 points. That was 17 wins and 3 draws, which is phenomenal. And in their last 9 league games, they've dropped 11 points. So they've only won 4, they've drawn 4, they've lost only 1. So, you know, if you're just looking at the stats, yes, Liverpool have, let's say, struggled in the second part of the season. They've not been beaten much, only once by City, but they struggled to pick out the wins that they were getting earlier in the season. Whether it was through their great play, some late goals, mistakes by oppositions, they were grinding out results at times, and at other times playing some wonderful football. Now, you do feel that as time goes on, as they get closer to the end of the season, as we're getting closer to potentially winning the title, you've got to feel that they must have some nerves with the fan base on their case as well. You know, getting to the ground, you know, when the coach comes 2 hours early or whatever it is, a lot of noise, a lot of expectation. It's got to get to the players a little bit. And also, you just can't really keep going through the season at that sort of level. You know, if they'd carried on in the second half of the season the way they did the first half, they'd have got even more than 100 points that City got last season, which was the first time it's ever been done, which was phenomenal. So, running out of steam, I think you can argue it's a blip. I mean, you know, it's a stumble. I mean, City stumbled, and if you look at one stage, we'd lost against Chelsea, and a few games later, we'd lost against Crystal Palace at home. We'd lost against Leicester and Newcastle as well, and that was all in a short space of time. I think that was in the space of 9 or 10 league games. We'd lost 4. So, you know, we've had that problem. Liverpool are having the problem. Yes, we're steady at the moment. We're in good form. We've won many games on the bounce, and Liverpool are stumbling a bit. But there's still, was it 9 games to go this season? Still, a lot can happen. There's still 27 points to play for. So, yeah, I mean, they're running out of steam a bit, but I mean, who's to say they can't go and win the next 9 games? They just need a couple of good results. I mean, they had a good spanking at Watford last week before they drew against Everton. But still, they can bounce back. They showed that in the first half of the season. You can't discount them, and I won't discount them.
Question number 2, what do you think could and should be your ambitions for the next few seasons? This is difficult now. Like I was saying really with question 1, things have really changed for Watford this season. We've gone above and beyond what a club of our size is used to achieving, and the ambitions that we've had, and the the ideas when we go to Vicarage Road and away from home, what we thought we could achieve. You know, in previous seasons, it's very much a case of try and get points off the teams that are a bit like us, and then go to the big clubs and just have a nice day out. It's very different for us, especially the second half of this season now that we are trying to get into Europe and trying to do much bigger and better things. So that really will be the way forward for us. I still think in many ways we'll be a bit of a selling club. I think Abdoulaye Doucouré is inevitably going to go in the summer. A big club's going to come in for him, and there'll be a few other players that maybe we'll be asked about as well. But I think we're not going to resist selling our big players, because we're very financially solvent now. I mean, we're not rich by any means, not in the way your club is, but we now have a situation where we are starting to make a bit of money and become a bit profitable, and we're a good ongoing business for the owners, the Pozzo family. So I think that will still be the main aim, is to make sure we don't get ourselves in any huge debt, in any problems, because relegation, you know, can always be a season away for a club like Watford. But for the next few years, I think getting into Europe, having regular Europa League appearances perhaps, or fighting always to be in the top 10, is realistic for us. Any more than that, you know, the top 6 is just a bit ridiculous for us now. You know, somebody will, you know, there'll be a Burnley or a Leicester or a Watford that will perhaps break into the top 6 one season, but I don't think it'll be a regular occurrence.
Okay, Graham's second question. When City were 10 points behind Liverpool, did you still genuinely think that you could get back in front of them in the league? Well, I mean, a 10-point gap was quite significant, but there was still a lot of the season to go, and we had a game in hand. And we also had that game to play against Liverpool. And I think when we played Liverpool, we were 7 points behind them. Now, if they'd won that game, they'd be 10 points ahead. If they'd drawn it, they'd still be 7 points. But the fact that we came out and won, and we put in a tremendous performance, and it was a close game, but we put in a tremendous performance, a lot of noise from the crowd, and I think that kind of changed the future of the season. It kind of changed Liverpool's feeling of invincibility, because, you know, they were on the back foot for, I think, many periods of that game. And I think what also has affected them is when we lost against Newcastle, it was up to them to come out and win their next game and to extend their gap. And they only got a draw. And it's quite funny to say, but that weekend, we lost, they drew, they extended their lead, but it felt like we were getting closer, because they were stumbling. I mean, we stumbled quite badly losing at Newcastle, but they were stumbling too. Personally, I thought it was very hard to make up those 10 points, even with the game in hand, even with the game against Liverpool, just because of the way they were playing. Andy from our channel, he's always said they'll fall, they'll stumble, they'll crumble, they'll feel the pressure, they'll blow up. And, you know, you can argue getting 4 wins and 4 draws out of the last 9 games is a bit of a stumble. I mean, that's still a pretty good points tally. You know, 4 wins is 12, 4 draws is 16. So 16 points in 9 games is still pretty damn good. But yeah, I mean, right now, I mean, it's City's to lose right now. You can argue. Yes, we have some tough games coming up towards the end of the season, and we've got a lot more games than Liverpool, which is, you know, the fixture pile up for City at the end of the season could be a big factor. But we always thought we can still go on a run, and Liverpool had to have a blip. You know, 10 points ahead, they had to have a point of the season where they lost games or drew games, and that's what's happened. So, you know, whereas I still think Liverpool have got a great chance to win, you know, they're only 1 point behind City. We always had the belief that we had the resolve, the strength, the character, and the determination to grind out wins, which is what we're doing now. You know, a few 1-0 wins recently. So we always felt we had that in us. We always knew Liverpool had to get beaten somewhere along the line, or drop some points somewhere, and we had to capitalise, and that's what we've done. So how certain was I that we could beat Liverpool? I mean, let's say 50-50. You know, if they carried on the way they were, that explosive start to the season, they'd have won the league hands down. But they haven't, and it's a pretty good dogfight right to the end of the season.
Question number 3. How worried am I that Watford are going to get the kind of battering that Liverpool handed out to us last week. They beat us 5-0, but then we bounced back with a 2-1 win over Leicester. But yeah, it's going to be on all our minds as Watford fans. We know we were very surprised, and we were quite amazed really that Liverpool scored 5 against us, especially those last 2 goals. Van Dijk scoring 2 headers in a row against us to make it 5. We didn't expect to beat Liverpool, but we expected it to be a lot closer than it was. So I think that was a bit of a freak occurrence for the way Watford are playing at the moment. But against City, arguably, and this is contentious to some of my friends who are Liverpool fans, but arguably I think City have a better attack going forwards, and I think there's even more goal threats from City, and that to me does fill me with a bit of fear going into the game at the weekend. What's going to happen? I don't know. If we can stifle City, if we can stop that flow coming in, our defence sometimes can get a bit panicky. But we've got some Holobas is now back playing. He's a miss whenever he leaves, so he's going to stop a lot that's coming down the right-hand side of the pitch. It's all going to be like that. Craig Cathcart as well, he's a great defender, but sometimes they just switch off for a minute, and against a team like City you can't switch off for a single second. So I think we're going to try and approach the game like we did against Liverpool, where we're going to accept that you, City, are going to have the majority of the ball, and we'll try to catch you on the counter-attack. Hopefully it'll be more successful than it was against Liverpool, but I don't think we're going to sit behind the ball. I don't think we're going to try and create a brick wall in that way. I think we will play our counter-attacking game, but yeah, certainly is on the minds that whatever happens, we're not expecting to win, but whatever happens, we don't want to get embarrassed again.
Okay, Graham's third question. Is there one single player currently playing in Europe that you think would be a perfect fit for City? There's a lot of players out there that we'd love to have, and we'd love Messi and, you know, players like that. But I'm trying to be realistic. I mean, one we, you know, for many months had set our sights on, and some of City fans had set their hearts on, was Frankie de Jong. And, you know, we saw Ajax stuff Madrid a couple of days ago. And it's a mix between Real Madrid being pretty poor and Ajax being really good. But you could see Frankie de Jong had a pretty decent game, and you can see why Barcelona wanted him and wanted to pay all that money to him, and to Ajax, obviously, to get him. But I think they're paying him a hefty salary, and I think that's one of the issues with City, why we didn't go get him in the end, as well as the fact he did want to play with Messi and Barcelona. Whatever the reasons are, he was one person that I really wanted. That's gone. It's not going to happen. So I'm going to move on to someone who I think would actually is going to quite surprise people, because I'm going to go for a defender, and I'm going to go for Frankie de Jong's teammate at Ajax, Matthijs de Ligt. Now, he played against Madrid again the other day, and he was very, very good, and a lot of rave reviews for Matthijs de Ligt. Now, I think he's, off the top of my head, he's only 19 years old. He's got 19 or 20. He's got a huge future ahead of him. You know, he's got 10 to 15 years ahead of him, and he already looks pretty damn good. If you combine him with our other centre-backs in John Stones, Aymeric Laporte, I think they're both around 24, 25 years old. If you add in the young kid that's coming through, Eric Garcia, who looks a phenomenal prospect, who's, I think, 17 or 18. He's 8. I think he's just turned 18 a few weeks ago. Something like that, 18 or 19. He's still a kid. He's still very young. But he's been putting in mature performances. I think last summer in America, he was only 17 years old. And in the pre-season games, Pep said he looked like he was 24 or 25. He was that good. He looked that experienced. He was that calm. He just knew where everything was. And he was in the right place at the right time. And I think you add those 4 players together, you know, Stonesy and Laporte, Garcia and Matthijs de Ligt. We've got centre-backs for the next 8 to 10 years already there. I mean, and you've got that option of putting Laporte out at left back as well. So you've got flexibility. You've got top class talent. I think Matthijs de Ligt can play in defensive midfield as well. So you've got these options with these players, and I think Matthijs de Ligt coming into City would strengthen us. We could let one of our older centre-backs go. Like, I don't think we'll let Vinny go. Maybe Otamendi. There's rumours that he's wanted in Spain, and he'd command a very good fee, and we could get Mathis de Ligt in. And as I said, that would keep us going for many, many years. In other positions, yes, you can say we need this player, we need that player. But I think to have that solidity, to have that base starting at the back, I think that'll stand us in good stead for many, many years.
Who do I want to win the Premier League season and why? Well, to be honest, the battle between Manchester City and Liverpool, as it turns out to be, are really the two teams that I hoped would be there at the end. I love what Jurgen Klopp has brought to Liverpool more than anything else to do with Liverpool Football Club. If Liverpool were to beat you to the title, I'd be delighted for him. I think he's a breath of fresh air for European football, for managers and for media, the way that he's so open about his feelings and he enjoys it. He clearly enjoys it. We've got a glut of managers, I think, at the moment who just seem to hate every second of it. And you think, well, if you're not enjoying it in any way, shape or form, don't do it. But Jurgen Klopp seems to really enjoy it. So for that reason, and probably that reason alone, I'd like Liverpool to win, but you know the Scousers would be unbearable for a year if they did. Conversely, for City, I think just purely in terms of talent, I think for City, it's such a great team. When you're in full flow, I know you've stuttered a couple of times this season, but when City's in full flow, they're just absolutely wonderful to watch. And in a way, I think if City did win the title, I think it would be quite justified in terms of the level of football you've been playing and the team you've put together and Guardiola's leadership. I think in many ways, like Klopp for me, I think Guardiola is fantastic for any league. He just does it with such enthusiasm and joy at most times as well. So I'm personally quite glad that it's come down to Liverpool and City. Of the two, I'm still unclear really. I would just like to see the best team over these last 8 or 9 games go on and win the league. I'd hate it to come down to goal difference or some awful one decision in one match, that kind of thing. I'd like it to be pretty clear cut between Liverpool and Man City by the end.
Now, Graham's fourth question. Is the Manchester derby the one fixture still to come that you think could hamper your title chances? To be honest, there's 9 fixtures to come. And if you include the Cups and the Champions League, there could be 15 fixtures to come, because anything can happen. I mean, we could be playing against Schalke in midweek. We could lose 2 players to injuries. Like our last game, we lost 2 players, Stonesy and KDB, injured, innocuously looking. You know, so you could lose two or 3 even top players playing a Champions League game or an FA Cup game and these league games. So I think City have shown by the teams that we've lost to that any game can be potentially dangerous. I mean, we lost to Crystal Palace, bottom half of the table. We lost to, and I think they're probably lower when we lost to them. Lost to Newcastle, bottom half of the table. We lost to Leicester, mid-table to bottom half, or whatever you want to call it, mid-table. And we lost to Chelsea as well, who have really had an up and down season. So you can't just say, oh yeah, United, they're a good team, they're on the up. I mean, they've only lost 1 game under Solskjaer. They've won or drawn the rest, if I'm right, and they've had a very, very good run since he's been there. But you can look at Spurs. I mean, Spurs are still a very, very good team. They've got to come to Manchester. So I'm not going to look at any game. Watford are 8th. You know, you got 43 points. You don't get 43 points at this stage of the season if you've not got something about you. You know, with 9 games to go, you must have something about you to have accumulated that many points. And generally, I think played in most games pretty well. So I'm not going to look at any game and say, and I'm not going to pick out United and say the United game is the one that could scupper our chances, because any of these games can do that. The United game is just, yes, it has a bit more needle, has a bit more to it, but most Man United fans I know, they're in a bit of a conundrum here, aren't they? Because they don't want Liverpool to win the league, but they want to beat City. So they've got a bit of a dilemma come Derby Day. But as I said, any game we can lose. You just don't know what's going to happen.
And how do I think City compare to last year? I actually don't think you're firing on all cylinders like you did last year. To me, it seemed like last year any team you were playing was you were going to roll them over. Statistically, I know that's not true, but there was just a feeling I had last season that City were just so far ahead of everybody else. I don't think you've gone backwards at all in any way, but I just feel like there's just something still. It seems ridiculous because you're top of the Premier League and the best football team, I think, in Europe at the moment. But it just seems to me that there's just something missing again. Maybe it's because of the injury problems you've had and people like De Bruyne coming into the team and then coming out again with injury, and you've had to chop and change a lot. So you haven't really been able to have the same starting 11 again. Well, it's been very similar. You know, there's been a lot of changes along the season. So I think it's been hard for City to get into a rhythm like they seemed to last season for me. I would like to see some new faces coming in for you in the summer. I don't think if your Champions League ambitions are to become very serious, I think that's really what needs to happen in the summer. You need to be able to hang on to all your crucial players and bring some more in as well, I'd say. For me, I guess that really would be the takeaway from this season. We haven't really seen any new faces essentially really come into the City team and change things. The big stars are really the big stars that have been last season and the season before. So you thoroughly deserve winning the Premier League title, but I think you could do with bringing in some more faces that are up to the task of playing for City.
Okay, question 5 from Graham. Is there any part of you that's nervous playing Watford? To be honest, no. And I'm just being honest there. I just think your style will suit us. You know, if you don't come... It's one of those... You've got very, very good players. You've got some very good attacking players. Troy Deeney, he's a pest. He's a menace up front. You've got some other good wide players. But it's one of those... If you come out and you're open against us and we score an early goal, I think we could hammer you. Absolutely hammer you, because you know you're going to have to then remain open to try and get an equaliser. And if we get 2 goals ahead, very few teams will ever come back from 2 goals down, and usually it's just going to be one-way traffic there on in. So what you're going to rely on, you've got to score that early goal. If you're going to come and try and attack us a little bit and put some pressure on us, you've got to work hard and score that early goal. If you come there with the attitude you're going to defend and hope to hit us on the break and get lucky, I think we'll beat you again. We've seen that we've got that patience. You know, we've ground out 1-0 results in the last 2 league games, even though we've been well on top and teams have defended really well overall. We've still ground out those results. So that's why I don't worry and fear Watford. I think you can score, but I don't worry and fear that you're going to scupper our chances of winning the league this season. And I'm not, you know, I don't want to sound arrogant and complacent, but I think we've got your number. We've had that pretty much for the last few seasons, and we've given you some spankings. I'm not asking for a spanking on Saturday. I mean, I'll take a scruffy 1-0 win. Right now, all that matters is winning games and keeping that goal difference above Liverpool's. So yeah, come Saturday, I'm not going to go to the game with any fear or trepidation at all.
And finally, the dreaded score prediction: Manchester City against Watford. Well, my heart would say that I would hope that we learnt a little lesson from Liverpool and the last time we played you as well, and we'll be stronger and tougher, especially in defence, and we could perhaps hold you to a 1-1 draw, possibly a 2-2 draw like that. That's my heart talking. I think in reality, I think you're possibly going to win 2-1, 3-1 possibly. I think we'll get a goal. I think we'll get at least 1 goal, but as much as I want it, I can't see Watford getting a result. But if Watford do get a result, it would be a title-changing result, and then Watford will be probably hated by City for a long time, which, yeah, I'd rather take the win. But I think it's going to be you boys. I'm going to go 3-1 to City.
And Graham's last question is a score prediction. I don't think we're going to batter you. I think more than likely what will happen is, you'll be more resolute than you were against Liverpool. I think you'll defend better. I think you may well score. I don't think if we're winning, for argument's sake, 2 or 3-0, I don't think we're going to bust a gut to score lots more goals. We've got another game against Schalke, I think it's on Tuesday, and players will naturally want to take it a bit easy and relax a bit. And actually, that gives you a bit of a chance, because if we do get 1 or 2 goals up, maybe we relax too much and you get back into it. So I'm starting to get a bit worried now. But in all reality, I mean, I can see us scoring early and scoring a couple early and coming out 3-1 winners. Guys, that's our preview done. Once again, I've got to give a big thank you to Graham Clews for the last minute coming in and doing this video with us today. And good luck, Watford. Good luck for the rest of the season. And yeah, if you're around the ground on Saturday, come up and see Andy and me. We'll be around the Blue Moon Cafe, around the main entrance before the game. After the game, same sort of thing. Blue Moon Cafe and the main entrance. And hopefully we try and get some interviews with ex-players if we can. And if you're around there, it'd be great to have an interview with you too. See you around, Blues.